In this video we are going to go over how to build your league schedule, how you can modify or add some special conditions if needed, assign lanes randomly based on the set of lanes on a center you are using, fill or import scores, and get real-time results, points and leaderboard updates. On the calendar component, you'll see all of your weekly squads on the date that they were scheduled. Notice how we have color coding for your squads. Orange means no matches are scheduled, yellow means the matches have been scheduled, purple means position-based matches have been scheduled, light blue means the lanes have been assigned to the matches, dark blue means the lanes have been assigned to a position-based week, and green means scores have been entered. At the top of the page you'll find the different options to build your schedule. You can click on Schedule randomly, which will trigger a random round-robin scheduling distribution where every team faces each other once and participates every single week. This is the conventional way of scheduling, so it'll take you less than 1 second to build your entire calendar. This will also take care of scheduling teams against a blind when you have an odd number of teams. Then you also have the option to schedule your matches with parameters, meaning you can give our algorithm some conditions to consider while scheduling. Condition number 1 is whether the scheduling is standard matchups, or if you want to schedule standard matchups and then a final squad by position, which will also add extra weeks as needed to your league if you didn't consider this when creating the league. Or periodic position matches, meaning every n amount of weeks we automatically arrange the teams by positions to schedule the matches and then go back to our standard round-robin scheduling. This will also automatically add any extra weeks that we may need. Or maybe after the very first squad we want the entire league to always be bowled by position. Condition number 2 is if we have a set amount of times we want the teams to verse on the standard scheduling, not including position squads if you chose to have any. So do we want everyone to verse each other 1 time, 2 times, or more? Whatever configuration we select, right before we decide to schedule, the system will help us understand how many extra weeks are needed for our current conditions. And a reminder to add the extra weekly packages and take into account that there are more weeks that need to be paid for now that the league is longer than we thought when creating it. This is an issue we won't have if we already know how long our leagues usually go for, or if this is at least our second time running the same league. Condition number 3 is if we wish to have any bye weeks for either observer holidays, big international events happening on certain dates that our bowlers will attend, or other. The last option you have is to schedule your matches and build your calendar manually. This is our least recommended option since it takes a lot of work, and we made a powerful algorithm that can do everything for you and automatically prevent any mistakes on the schedule regardless of the conditions you build it with. And if you had an odd number of teams, the blind is always scheduled correctly. To schedule manually, you will simply drag and drop your teams into every week's box to build your matches, and once a week is completed and all of the teams are entered, you will be able to save that week, rinse and repeat for every week, and you'll have a fully built manual schedule. You can expand any week to see its contents. When there are no matches, it'll simply show up empty. Let's go ahead and select an option to schedule our matches and explore what they look like. First, let's choose random scheduling to make everyone verse each other once in less than 1 second. You will see a confirmation message and all of your weeks turn yellow, meaning that all of your weeks contain matches now. If we expand on a week, you'll be able to see all of the matches already set. Every week every team is facing someone different. All teams are participating, and they all verse each other once. You can also always edit matches manually if for whatever reason you need to. And while lanes haven't been assigned, you can also always delete the matches and randomly generate them again, or choose a different scheduling method. Let's go ahead and run through some examples of scheduling with parameters. The first example I want to give is having a final squad by positioning, having every team versus each other twice, and notice how we can see in real time how many extra weeks will be needed. And also I am going to add a bye week just to include it in our example. We get all of the reminders and breakdown of what is going to go down once we schedule our matches. Once we choose to proceed, we will see a confirmation message that will include how many weeks were included, what the new end date of the league is, the alert explaining that you need to add the new packages to charge for the extra weeks and be able to keep your books in order, and some tips for your next steps. Notice how again our weeks turn yellow indicating matches are set. However, week 3 is orange since it is a bye week, and the final week of the league is purple since we chose to have final by position. This week will automatically sort itself out every week depending on the league standings until it is finally time to run it. If you accidentally made a mistake and scheduled your matches wrong, after you delete them you can always delete extra weeks that were created freely. You can do this before rescheduling or after rescheduling, it actually doesn't matter. The system helps you not make mistakes by deleting squads that have matches in it. Let's go ahead and reschedule them with final by position, but they only versus once and there is no bye week. As you can see, the checks now say that you have a valid configuration since you have enough squads for this setup. Once we proceed, we only get a confirmation message this time and all of our matches are set and ready to go. We can go ahead and delete the extra weeks we still have and won't need and confirm that everything has the color it's supposed to have. Let's expand our first week. We will see all of our scheduled matches colored in red, meaning scores haven't been saved for them. We can also see the week details and the lane assignment tool. On the lane assignment tool we get a helper function that tells you how many pairs of lanes you need for the number of teams you have, and how many you have currently selected. It won't let you assign lanes if you have less pairs than teams, but it will choose a block of lanes of exactly the amount of pairs you need or more than the pairs you need. We recommend the exact amount per block of lanes you select since this will guarantee there are no empty lanes between the matches. Normally you'll just choose the block of lanes your league will be bold on, which is the exact amount you need for your teams, and then randomly assign them their lanes. You can also set a custom number of games for a week, but this is never necessary if your league always bolds the amount of games you selected when creating the league. So you can ignore that. Same situation with the Baker game, you can choose to add one, but if you don't need it you can ignore it. Once the lanes are assigned you will see the lane pairs being set for each match and the lane that was assigned to each team. You can always remove, reshuffle and reassign lane assignments. On the calendar you will see the week that has lanes assigned already colored in light blue. Once lanes are assigned to any week you can no longer delete matches unless you remove the lane assignments. Clicking on a match will show the teams that are playing on a face-off presentation, one team to the left and one team to the right, with score inputs for each member, an option to enter scores for a backup bowler when needed or a blind, the scoreboard for the match, and the option to print the match with the lane assignment if you want to pass the sheets around at the bowling center for bowlers to fill manually, sign and turn them over to you at the end of the squad. Of course, printing match by match wouldn't be ideal, so we also give the option to print all the matches and lane assignments at once for the entire week, each on a separate piece of paper. Let's move on to the next step, which is how you can actually enter scores for the matches since you have a lot of options. The simplest option, but not the best, is to enter them manually inside of each match once bowling has finished. This score input can always be used to enter scores, save them or also correct them and update them. However, there is a quick score entry option which brings up a screen with the list of all bowlers sorted by lanes in ascending order. You can manually enter scores by game here or all games at a time using the tab key on your keyboard to move rather quickly. Or the best option is to import scores if your bowling center can provide you with the score export from the desk application. To do this you must first specify in which order the team members are bowling in, Since in our example our teams are doubles, we simply go lane by lane, specifying which of the two bowlers bowls first and which goes second. Once we sort the order of all bowlers by lanes and who bowled in which position, you will have a fully sorted list. With this list, you can then select to import CSV scores and select the desk file for the squad. This will automatically match the scores of each bowler using the lane that they bowled on and the order that they bowled on. It'll do all of this in seconds, and it will also work if, for instance, you have a lot of leagues going on the same large bowling center like the South Point does. Sometimes, it'll only match the scores of your block of lanes, as you can see in this example. You can also freely correct any scores if for whatever reason there are errors. Once you are ready, you can click on Publish Results to make these results official, automatically assign points, update the leaderboard, and provide live results for your bowlers if they are viewing your league from their account. You'll see your week turn green on your calendar, indicating that bowling has happened and scores are saved. You will also see the matches turn green since the scores for all of them are now saved. You can open a match to see a detailed breakdown of what the bowlers scored, the games they won, who won the series, and the scoreboard with the points results. You can also modify scores from here if any errors happened and update the results. On this screen is where you will also assign extra points if your league gives any for custom options or conditions. This is the custom point formula you entered when creating the league beyond the game and series results. It is very easy to award extra points and see them update on the scoreboard. Obviously, once you've entered scores, you can no longer remove lane assignments or move any options from the week. It is locked until you clear the scores. Also, if you choose to print matches at this point, it will print them with the results filled in. Now, let's talk about assigning lanes ahead of time. You can always assign lanes in advance for any or all weeks if you'd like. The only thing is that the system will help you keep track of the bowlers that haven't paid for a given week. When that happens, you will receive an alert stating that some teams have bowlers that haven't paid for the week and they won't receive a lane even though their opponent will. This means that bowling can still happen as normal, but the teams with no lane assigned will automatically get 0 for their scores even if they bowl. Once they reconcile their debt, you can go back and enter their actual scores, updating the results, unless it is in your rules that they must stay at 0 if they didn't pay before bowling. This is where the creativity comes in of how you build your packages depending on different periods or time and amounts that your bowlers are used to paying, so that you can properly check them in and run the league like clockwork. Also worth mentioning that even when importing scores, teams without lanes that have bowlers yet to complete payment won't appear on the score quick entry screen anyways, so no score will be imported for them even if they bowled. Let's talk about how to enter scores for a backup bowler or an absentee. On the match details screen, you can see an option to choose a backup bowler if a player couldn't attend. This will open a window to search from all existing bowlers even if they are not in the league and find the backup that showed up to bowl. This will allow you to save scores for the backup and manually choose how much handicap you wish to assign to the backup. Similarly, if there is no backup for the absentee, you can enter the blind. Then, this blind will use whatever average form the absentee you chose on your configuration and award whatever handicap you chose on your configuration the blind of the absentee should receive, although you can manually move this handicap as well if you wish. This will guarantee scores are saved and results are updated using the backup bowler or blind bowler. On the calendar, you'll always see matches with scores already saved green, and you can still import scores for the remaining bowlers who need no backups or blinds. Remember, bowlers that had no lane assigned because they didn't pay will receive zeros automatically. Since we have already entered scores, in this case we have 2 weeks completed, we can always check the leaderboard, which automatically updates for us, and for the bowlers on their end if they are viewing the league. We will see a leaderboard by points, which is the most important one. We can see the details of a team's weekly performances, highest bowled game, highest series, averages, and points obtained by week. We can navigate to the financial page to handle payouts from here, but we will go over that later. We also have the overall pinfall leaderboard by bowler, which has the stats for all of our bowlers, and we can also see the detailed breakdown for any of them, which will show their weekly performances, best scores and series, and averages. And the overall pinfall by team, which is the same thing but for the teams and grants you access to the same detailed breakdown the points leaderboard does. If we had divisions, this is where each division's leaderboard would be as well. Let's move on. Since this is a demo and not an actual week-to-week league I am managing, I would have a lot of trouble properly assigning the lanes unless I go complete the payments for the full league for all the bowlers, so let's go through that as an exercise and provide some tips of situations you may encounter while managing the real thing. On the teams page you can see the status of all bowlers. An active status means they are completing partial payments, and a completed status means they have paid for the whole league. This is a quick way of seeing all the bowlers we need to go ahead and complete for our demo so that we can assign all the lanes and simulate that all weeks have passed. When adding weeks to a bowler, you can always print a receipt for them. In addition to that, if we still wish to award a full league discounted package, for example, to somebody that already bowled and paid for 1 week, we will be able to add that and collect payment. However, we may want to refund the previously purchased package, which will be disabled since the system knows they already bowled that week. This is fine. We give you an option to deal with this and keep your books in order. You can give that bowler their $50 in the form of an award on the financial page, thus telling your books that you gave those $50 back. And the best part is that you can reuse that refund award for other bowlers that it may apply to, and make different ones for those with different quantities you wish to give back, or give away for different reasons. This makes sure the money going out and the money going in is always perfectly tracked by your financials. One more note on the financial page is that based on the payout settings that you created, you can always modify or award more placements, which can also be accomplished by adding new settings. You can see who is leading each leaderboard and can receive the payout at any time. In case you give partial payouts halfway through the league or something like that, if not, you simply wait until the last week, and whoever the winners are you can see here and pay out. I went ahead and completed payment for all bowlers in this league so that we can assign all the lanes and finish going over the entire flow of a league. Once all lanes are assigned beforehand except for the final squad, since that one needs to update the positions until every week is bowled before we assign lanes. We can of course import all scores every week, which we have already learned earlier on this video, but I want to go over a couple more things. First of all, let's take this second to last week as an example. We already assigned the lanes beforehand, but we can also go ahead and select which order the bowlers bowl in beforehand. If when we are done we simply close this window, our selections will remain saved, meaning we can assign lanes and order beforehand already, and when bowling is happening all we need to worry about is importing the scores. For the last week, I want to mention another example. If for any reason after importing or entering the scores you forgot to click the Publish Scores button, it doesn't mean that all the scores aren't saved. It'll still show the matches in red as they haven't been made official, but as you can see the scores aren't lost. It only means that we haven't awarded points and made them official. We can simply go back and click on the Publish Results button. Our matches show up green, points have been awarded, and results have been made official. Bowlers can see the live on their profiles as well if they wish to. Now that all weeks have been bowled, we can select which block of lanes our finals will be bowled in and assign those lanes. After bowling is completed or after each game is completed, we can fill in or import our scores and officially complete the league, meaning we are ready to move on to the final payouts. Since our leaderboards are now final, we can see all final results and statistics, see details from every single week and begin handing out payouts. For the payouts, clicking the button once we decide that the amount to pay out is final. If we wish to modify it, we can. Won't automatically log the payout, it will still ask you to manually choose which team you are paying even though you are already seeing the winners. This is in case of any last-second disqualifications or any other extraordinary reasons. Once you are sure who you are paying out, you can select the payout button and it'll be recorded. This logic is the same for all leaderboard payouts. If a member of a team, however, has incomplete payments or owes money, they won't be eligible to receive the payout. You can see all of this transactions saved on your payout history and labeled as leaderboard payouts, differentiated from awards, and when running side action like brackets, which we will go over on a separate video, all the payouts handled over there will also show up here and will be clearly labeled and color-coded to the different side action for you, along with their specific details. Exactly the same thing will happen for the individual financial reports for each bowler. Where it's worth mentioning, you will also have the option to reverse payouts when needed. Thank you so much for watching this general overview of this extremely powerful tool. We hope we've given you all the tools you need to get started with your very own league scheduling and management. Remember, practice makes perfect and you'll get good at your way of doing things in no time. Please stay tuned for our next video where we will go over how to manage your weekly side action, including the very popular bracket events, and how to add staff for your league, like someone that will manage that side action, for instance, among other roles we provide as options. Thanks again for watching. Catch you next time.